Jones there in Honolulu. So today is the first day new health insurance plans go into effect for Americans who signed up for Obamacare. But the health care law is facing some new challenges. The U.S. Supreme Court has temporarily said 2 Catholic Church affiliated charities do not have to provide contraceptive coverage to its employees. This comes as the administration touts new numbers, saying what Athena underscored, more than 2 million people have signed up for new health coverage, but that's way below the White House's goal of 3.3 million enrollees by the end of December. So joining us to talk about it, CNN political commentator and conservative radio talk show host Ben Ferguson. Good to see you. And Maria Cardona, a CNN political commentator and Democratic strategist. Good to see you as well. All right,
Happy
Maria,
New Year, Fred.
Happy New Year to both of you. Maria, let me begin with you. Is the Supreme Court ruling a prelude to more legal challenges to this health care law in 2014?
Well, we'll see. Let's see how the administration responds here shortly before Friday. But I think what we will see, Fred, is that there will ultimately be a good balance between what the Affordable Health Care Act wants to do, which is make sure that women have coverage for contraception if they want it and if they need it, as well as not making religious organizations, religiously affiliated groups feel like they're doing something that is against their religious beliefs. Maybe they get the religious exemptions that the administration gave the churches. We'll see what happens on Friday. I think that you will clearly continue to see challenges because, as we know, the Republican Party's goal is to continue to repeal Obamacare. But I think as we get better news every single day, up to 6 million people have now enrolled in Obamacare, if you count those that are eligible for Medicaid. It's going to become politically untenable, and I think we're already there, for Republicans to continue to talk about something that millions and millions of Americans are getting access to historically starting today.
So, Ben, do you see that the religious organizations, the legal challenges really just stops here with those religious organizations not having to provide insurance that would include contraceptives? Or do you see that there will be other legal challenges in the new year?
There's going to be other legal challenges, and this is where, you go back to this White House saying, pick your battles wisely. Why go to war with religious institutions and organizations and nonprofits over something that they hold so dear to their heart when they're already saying, we're okay with offering health care coverage. We're not okay with the contraceptive side of this, and you should respect our religious freedom in that context. I don't understand why the White House went to battle in such a public way with the Catholic Church early on. I think it was a terrible move by them. They should have had respect for people of faith and said, you know what? We totally understand where you're coming from. If you're going to give your people good health care coverage and play with us on that issue, we'll respect the religious connotation. But I think it shows just the pure arrogance of this White House where they basically say, no, we're going to do what we want to do, how we want to deal with it. Deal with it. It's the same way when the president walked out and said, if you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor. He knew it was a lie. His whole administration knew it was a lie. But the arrogance was, we'll deal with it. Yeah, it's a lie, but don't worry about it because we'll get what we want in the end. And I think this is the tip of the iceberg for legal challenges coming this next year.
And so again,
they didn't say that, Ben. The administration actually came up with a negotiation with the churches, and they gave them that exemption. And so we'll see. Maybe that is what will happen again. But there'll be a balance at the end of the day.
And so the Supreme Court, or at least Sotomayor, has really extended a couple of days reprieve for the White House. It has to come up with a response Friday, 10 a.m., and we'll see what that response is and what might happen next. So, besides health care law, the president does have a lot of issues on his plate. He had a lot of issues on his plate last year. Much of it was stalled. So the president still wants to get through immigration, try to improve the economy. But, one has to wonder, what does this White House have to perhaps do differently, Ben, to try to get better cooperation from Congress, to try to get back on track as it pertains to his agenda?
Yeah. Well, I think part of it is the president's very dynamic, and I don't know why he doesn't use his people skills to his advantage on Capitol Hill, even with his own party. He has really not had a great relationship with Democrats. I mean, there's quite a few that are on the record saying that he needs to spend more time with those on the Hill. He needs to be respectful of the House and the Senate and not just have his demands of Congress all the time. So I would tell him first, start with your own party, and then if you get along with Congress better and you work with him. Bill Clinton, I think, is a prime example. He had to deal with a really tough negotiator in Newt Gingrich, but they worked together. They had an open dialogue. They had conversations. They had dinners and lunches and meetings and coffee and tea. The president has not done that in his entire 5 years. So if he wants to get anything done on Capitol Hill, I think he's going to have to humble himself a little bit and start playing ball with even those in his own party. If he does that, he may be able to be successful this year, because last year his strategy was a disaster and it didn't work.
Maria, do you agree he has to work within his own party first?
Well, you ready for this, Fred? I actually agree with most of what Ben said in terms of hoping that the president does reach out more to the folks on Capitol Hill, because he does need to work with them, especially Republicans. And I think that they will do that. They have started that, Ben. You know, sometimes it hasn't been successful because, you know, it's a two-way street. Sometimes the president has reached out and the door has been slammed in his face. And so I think this goes both ways. And what we've seen from the American people is that they are sick of it from both parties. That is why you see, I think, some glimmers of hope of bipartisanship from the budget deal that we got at the end of last year with Chairman Ryan and Chairman Murray working together. We hope that this will continue. John Boehner, we saw, finally stood up to the extremist Tea Partiers in his own party, because he knows that they have been actually the ones that have been keeping progress from happening in Washington. There's a lot of issues that we can work on if Republicans actually try to govern as opposed to just saying,
Maria,
wow.
I love you. I love you, Maria, but I'm impressed you're giving the Tea Party this much power and credit. I don't even think the Tea Party had as much power as you're explaining right now. I don't think the president's X factor here is a Tea Party getting along.
They've been the puppet masters. They've been the puppet masters for Speaker Boehner for a very long time. Let's hope it stops.
Oh, wow. Well, this really is a new year, because we're seeing that, wow, some agreement between Ben Ferguson and Maria Cardona. Maybe there will be an amicable relationship developing in the new year, after all, between Congress and the White House.
It can be a new day, Fred.
It just might be a new day,
That's
new
right.
year. All right. Thanks so much to both of you. Happy New Year. Appreciate it.
Happy New Year. Happy New
Thanks.
Year.